Hey everybody, Qroo Paul here. It is early in the morning. A little puffy-eyed today. I could have waited a little longer, but I didn't. I already had a cup of coffee, which is the most important thing to get these things started. That's why my coffee cup says, Primero café, luego español. First coffee, then Spanish. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a simple way to say, would you mind doing something in Spanish? Or would you mind if I sit here, if I get that paper, whatever. The would you mind part. Now, this is a topic that people can overcomplicate by giving you way too many variations on the construction. And then it just becomes noise, you know, and then native speakers start to debate, oh, this sounds a little bit better, and I see a nuance here. And tell you what, when you're learning a language, that's like porpoises, right? That's not what we're going to do here. In this video, I'm going to give you two very simple patterns that you can follow, put them in your Spanish pool box, pull them out when you want to, and make sentences. All right, let's get to it, because that was a long intro and I apologize for that. Our first construction, our pattern, is going to be te importaría plus infinitive. And you see we're using the verb importar, which means to be important to matter. So what we're literally saying is, and we're going to make it a question, is it important to you to do something, right? We're going to drop that in. We need an example. Let's give you the English first. Would you mind helping me? ¿Te importaría ayudarme? ¿Te importaría ayudarme? Now, I've always found it helpful to learn to think of Spanish in very literal terms like that. I will remember it that way. Would it be important to you to do something for me? That sticks in my head. You're not going to ruin your English, okay? Now, one thing I want to point out with this construction is that it is in the informal you, which is the tú form. If you want to use the usted form, the formal you, just change that te to a le. ¿Le importaría ayudarme? Would you mind helping me? Or literally, would it be important to you to help me? Voice cracked a little bit on that last one. Make a little coffee here. You want to go ahead and try one? Go ahead and try one. Would you mind opening the door? Are you ready? ¿Te importaría abrir la puerta? ¿Te importaría abrir la puerta? Man, this is a piece of cake, right? You want to try one more? Let's try one more. Would you mind speaking more slowly? And this would have been a good opportunity while you're translating to actually drink coffee. I didn't plan this well, folks. Are you ready? ¿Te importaría hablar más despacio? ¿Te importaría hablar más despacio? And if you're speaking in the usted form, you're just going to change that te to a le. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next construction. And this one is going to have two options, but I'm going to tell you to stick with that first one. All right, so here, this is this one, okay? Te importaría si. Would you mind if, okay? Now we can follow this with the present tense, or we can follow it with the past tense of the subjunctive, the imperfect subjunctive. And it's your choice, really. I'm going to show you what I mean as we go through this. Would you mind if I open the window? Now I can put the present tense in the second part. ¿Te importaría si abro la ventana? Or I can use the imperfect subjunctive for you folks that are up on the subjunctive. And if you're not, it is the keystone to mastering Spanish. And in most circumstances, you know, you're kind of stuck with it. If the subjunctive is supposed to be there, it's supposed to be there. This is one of those times when you actually have a choice. That doesn't happen a lot. So if you were going to plug that in, it would look like this. ¿Te importaría si abriera la ventana? Si abriera is in the imperfect subjunctive, which is the subjunctive in the past tense. Now I know you're like, okay, Paul, we're talking about what we want people to do like now. Why would it be in the past tense? There's some tense agreement with the conditional there. And the tense agreement folks are going to be like, okay, Paul, well, the present tense is in the conditional over here. How's that going to work? I mean, what's the difference here? There's no real difference here. Some folks will be like, okay, the imperfect subjunctive is a bit more hypothetical. And some folks are like, nah, it's kind of your choice. But I will tell you that the most common one to choose with, you know, in regular conversations is the plain old present tense. So if I was going to use this construction, ask somebody, do you mind if I open the window? I'm going to use that plain old present tense. ¿Te importaría si abro la ventana? You want to go ahead and try one? Go ahead and try one. Would you mind if I sit here? And you can use present tense, like I said, that's more common, or you can do both, you know, whatever. Are you ready? Let's start with present tense. ¿Te importaría si me siento aquí? And now the imperfect subjunctive. ¿Te importaría si me sentara aquí? See, me sentara is in the imperfect subjunctive. Want to try one more before we call it quits? Let's try one more. Would you mind if I ask you a question? Think you got it? Let's start present tense. ¿Te importaría si te hago una pregunta? And now the imperfect subjunctive. ¿Te importaría si te hiciera una pregunta? See, that wasn't as easy to say. It kind of went together. Let me try that again. ¿Te importaría si te hiciera una pregunta? That was a little bit smoother. It's early, right? But again, right present tense, just stick with that. You're going to be fine. One other thing I want to point out there, because I've been doing all these in the informal you, the do form. If you were going to do that one, let's go to the present tense. If we're going to do that one in the usted form, you want to do that one? What if we're going to make it usted? We're going to change 2 words in there. You got them? Those te's are going to become le. ¿Le importaría si le hago una pregunta? That's it, just one really small change. Now, before I head out, if you do want to learn more about the subjunctive, I do have a playlist about the subjunctive, and you can just binge watch that all day. You can pop over to the Qroo Spanish Crew, where I go into a lot of detail about the subjunctive over there. Or you can download my latest PDF. This is a physical copy of it, but I have a PDF where I break down the subjunctive into little patterns so you know exactly when to use it. All right, the intro ran too long, the closing ran too long. I guess it's early, folks. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you loved it, well, liked it, or even found it mildly entertaining, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, hasta luego.